Hello and welcome to the Breakaway. For those watching on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, thank you for joining us. Wout van Aert with the win as we reach the halfway mark of the Tour de France. The Jumbo-Visma rider, the quickest in the race to the rest day. Julian Alaphilippe still in the yellow jersey. He takes that to his hotel for another 2 nights until we rejoin the action on stage 11. Well, Sean Kelly and Dan Lloyd are with us in the studio to go through what was a thrilling stage. First of all, Sean, Wout van Aert has had so much hype this season. It's not always easy to shoulder that hype, but he's not only done that, he's delivered on it. How much maturity does that show us for the 24-year-old?
Well, I think we've seen that when he was trying to move from the team that he was originally in Belgium to Jumbo-Visma. A lot of problems there, and he managed that quite well. And you know, right from the beginning of the season, we already see signs that he was a real talented rider, but he's just showing more and more talent as we go through the season. We talked about him as being a classic man, but now, in the Tour, he can win in sprints against the best sprinters in the world, which is amazing. So, I did not expect him to be so performant in this Tour, but again, he surprised me, as he has been doing right through this season.
Dan, what's going on in that team? Because it seems that they come into a stage like today with a plan. It invariably falls apart in the run into the finish, and then whoever's closest to the finish line just goes for it, and it works.
I think I talked on the very first weekend in Brussels about momentum as you go through the season. If you start winning at the very beginning, it just lifts the team. It takes the pressure away from the team as well. I think that's exactly the situation that they've been in. Coming into this race, they had over 30 wins already. They've added another 4 here at the Tour de France, and I'm pretty sure that's going to continue on through because they're all on cloud 9.
Well, Wout van Aert, the winner on the day, but arguably the biggest winner in the battle for general classification is the defending champion, Geraint Thomas. He's been speaking to Matt Stevens at the finish line.
I was just having a conversation with your friend and teammate Luke Rowe, and he said at the start, he's a friend and teammate, isn't he?
I was going to say he's more of a colleague, but yeah.
Fair enough. About the fact that the Tour de France isn't just won and lost in the mountains and on TTs. Days like this can be explosive.
Yeah, for sure, and it was a great day for us. I think it was one of those days where you always had to be there. It was stressful, and nothing might come of it, whereas something could come of it, like it was. And we had numbers, and we all committed really well. And yeah, I think behind they probably panicked a little and really tried to close it straight away. And then when they didn't, by the top of the climb, I think they lost a lot of guys, and then that's when the elastic snapped. Then, because I think they got within sort of 10 seconds. But yeah, great day for us.
Was it something strategic that you planned to attack at these points, or was it something you just discussed on the road when you saw the conditions were right?
Yeah, we knew when we went around sort of 150k gone, it might happen, but it didn't. And then EF tried, and then we were caught out of position a bit, actually. We went the wrong way around the roundabout. Then we got back up there, and Quick Step continued, and we followed. And then, yeah, it was, well, couldn't have asked for more.
Lots to talk about in the Luke Rowe and Geraint Thomas podcast then.
Yeah, for sure. You should tune in.
Will do.
Cheers.
Well, it is a bit of a cliche that the Tour de France can be won and lost on any given stage. And, well, today just proves that theory, doesn't it? Geraint Thomas, Egan Bernal moving closer to the yellow jersey of Julian Alaphilippe. Steven Kruijswijk jumping a couple of places, as does Bookman. Enric Mas now moves into the top 10, as does Adam Yates and Nairo Quintana. Dan Martin up there as well. And Thibaut Pinot, arguably the biggest loser on the day, certainly in the top 10 at least. He will be disappointed, and we're hearing that he wasn't very happy when he was asked on French television a few moments ago, Sean. He said that his team didn't deal very well with the wins. What do you make of how he managed to miss that move?
Well, I don't think he's confident in the windy conditions, the echelons. He doesn't like that at all, and of course, if you're a rider of that style in those finals, you're going to pay. And we see so many of the general classification men pay, but it's normal that Pinot is majorly disappointed. Like, he was 53 seconds down starting out today. He thought he was going to go into the time trial at least in that position, but now he's lost an extra 140. So it's a disaster, and it's not surprising that he stormed off of the finish. It's normal. I think he was talking about the team a little bit, to wait for confirmation on that, but you have to be able to stay up there. You need teammates around you, but you have to be able to do it yourself as well. If you cannot stay in the first echelon, well, then you're going to pay dearly.
Well, there's a happier man waiting to join us right now. Dan Martin of UAE Team Emirates has made his way from the finish line to the studio. Thank you, Dan, for being so quick, as is your trademark.
Yeah,
what a stage.
Yeah, we kind of figured it'd be a bit more a normal sprint stage, so that's why I agreed to come here. I didn't expect to be so buckled at the at the finish line. So yeah, it took me a bit more time to compose myself before I made it here, but yeah, we're here now. So
well, thank you for honouring your promise all the same. Talk us through the last 60 kilometres. It looked like that's really when the pace started to accelerate with the Ineos on the front. The last 30 kilometres it upped again. Talk us through what it was like for you in the middle of it all.
Yeah, I mean, the whole stage was nervous and chaotic. From the very first, as soon as the breakaway went, it was a little bit crosswind, and there were sections when it was nervous and just fighting for position, and then everybody kind of calmed down a bit, and there's a bit more shell to the road. But then that last final part, the last, 70 or 80 kilometres, yeah, I think it was 80, even 90 kilometres the first time that EF actually made an attack in the crosswinds, and yeah, made everybody nervous, and it was just a constant 5th position, and I think it just... yeah, you just had to stay concentrated at all times, and I just kept that focus and stayed in the top 20 all the time, you know, and just it's hard mentally, but then obviously it paid off.
Dan, that's easier said than done. We saw you miss a wheel on stage 7, I think it was, on Friday, and you could have been caught badly out there. So, I mean, it is all about paying attention on stages when you're not necessarily expecting any big shake-up in GC.
Yeah, we kind of looked at the stages before the race and kind of figured that at certain points you can afford to relax, and that moment on stage 7, I don't think it really made sense. There was no reason for the race to accelerate at that point and into a headwind and everything, you know. So yeah, we were kind of like riding our luck a little bit, but then today was obviously one that we said we had to be focused from the start, and that's what we did, and it paid off.
We weren't going to mention it unless you did so well today, but as you've redeemed yourself in the crossing, we'll get away with that.
It was headwind anyway before. That's why it shouldn't have split, you know?
Sean, it did make sense today, didn't it? I mean, yeah, we can all stand here and say we expected a sprint finish, but the day before the rest day, it's a good day to put the pressure on.
Well, we could see this morning there was that wind here, so it was always a possibility there going to be wind in the final. And as Dan said, you know, you could feel it coming. The tension just builds slowly. 90 kilometres out, you could feel it, and as you got closer, we could see on the TV that, you know, it was getting real nervous. So, you know, you just have to ride the front, and you have to, you know, take risk and fight your way all the time to stay in your position with your teammates. And yeah, if you do that and you can stay up there, well, then you gain, you know, a huge amount of time, because Dan, you know, he's put a lot of time into some of the other men who are going to be challenging for the win and the podium in this Tour de France.
Yeah, Sean, you say it's great. It's great for us, not so much for poor Dan there, struggling in the middle of it all. What can we read into the GC at this stage, though, Dan? I mean, we all expected stage 6 to tell us something. You finished 14th on that stage. Given where we are now and given what's happened today, what do you make of your form compared to your rivals at this stage?
Yeah, it's really hard to know at the moment, because I think the biggest effect that this first 10 days now has had is like the accumulative fatigue. It's and you don't know what effect it's had on your rivals, you know. Some guys would have coped with this first week or these first 10 days better than others, and you'll only know that when we hit the first stage, with the first mountain stage next week, and it's and even into that last week, you know, it's just a build up of tiredness. I mean, looking back, I think in the first 10 days now we've done about 50 hours on the bike, and that's a lot. I don't think I've done a Tour de France with a first rest day with that amount of time. So it's you have, Sean.
But you must be really happy, Dan, because, you know, you got the most difficult part of this race over, because the flat stages, the nervous running, the sprints, crashes, avoiding all that, and you know about crashes over the last couple of years. You've had your bad luck. Now I think you're going into your terrain where you use your 4th-day point, so you must be really happy at this point in the race.
We've got one more nervous day after the rest day to Toulouse, and then...
That's only one.
Yeah, we've got the most of it out of the way, you know, and yeah, we'll get through, just take it day by day and get through that stage, and then, yeah, as you said, the real race starts, and normally the Pyrenees is where I've done well before, so we'll hope to enjoy the race a bit more. I think that's the word.
It's always really difficult, isn't it, to describe to the public just how crazy it is when there are crosswind sections. You know, you might look at Richie Porte and Mikel Landa and the other guys that missed out, well, why didn't they just position themselves towards the front? And I think you quickly forget when you retire as well just how crazy it can be at that point. But the speeds must have been incredible. When you get the Ineos on the front with Van Baarle and Luke Rowe, and you've got Aviti from Movistar, and all those guys working, the speeds must have been so high at that point.
Yeah, the last 50k, I think it was always like around 55, 60 kilometers per hour, and but also it always comes down to a little bit of luck, I think, as well as timing, being at the front, and obviously some teams are always in the front, but then it's knowing when to make the effort and reading the race, and obviously the information and knowing where the road's going and how open the roads are. But yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it works for you, sometimes it hasn't. I've lost my fair share of time, and today it paid off for me.
Geraint Thomas, the defending champion, is now in second. Is he the man to beat, do you think?
Honestly, the way he came back after that crash the other day on the climb, I mean, I didn't expect him to come back how fast we were riding. So he showed really good form so far. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how much time he takes in the time trial, because everybody's expecting him to obviously put time into the climbers and the TT, and then I think like, Geraint will maybe turn into more of a defensive tactic rather than the climbers will have to try and get some time. So yeah, it promises to have a really aggressive race this year, I think, and especially now you've got even more climbers further back on GC having to take time.
Well, we can hear very briefly from Geraint Thomas' teammate Luke Rowe. See what you make of this, Dan.
Luke, another explosive day in the tour and a great day for Ineos, Savin, obviously Egan and Geraint in the front group, but how did it pan out from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it was a great day. It was, you know, at the start we said at some point this race is going to split. We kind of, you know, strong wind, right direction, and you know, we gave it a nudge around 50k to go. After 152 we gave it a nudge, and then you know, we were just waiting. No, we knew it would go at some point, and yeah, we were all over it. Had numbers in the front, and straight away we were on the front foot, and we knew we had, you know, it was on us to try and just drive it all the way to the line. I kept saying, guys, this is just a TTT, just TTT all the way to the finish line. You know, it's a massive day, so great day for us, yeah.
Just shows that the tour isn't just one in the mountains, is it? You have to take every single chance and be attentive all of the time.
No, it's something we said, actually, like, said to G, like, we can win or lose the tour today. It can go either way. You know, after like 20, 30k is what, when we spoke, you know, and I said it's going to split at some point. That's exactly what we said. We can win or lose the tour today. And, you know, it's a long way to go, but, you know, I think we stuck 140 into some good GC riders, and to try in the mountains to get 140 back on these two GC boys who are looking good, it's going to be a tall order, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the GC battle, it's in terms of the mountains, we've just barely dipped our toe in the water, so you know, we'll enjoy the rest day tomorrow and then kick on from there and get back to it.
Interesting. What did you say to Valverde with about 20k to go?
Lander punctured. They were riding. Lander punctured. And then obviously they stopped riding. If you stop riding, okay, no problem, but don't roll through and try and balls it up for the rest of us. So I just said, if you're not going to ride, okay, but don't come through and balls it up for us. But he's, you know, you won't find many guys classier than Valverde, so it's no big deal. But I just said, you know, if you're not going to ride, okay, but don't come through and try and slow it up. Save that stuff for the junior race. But yeah, he's a classy guy, it's no problem.
Enjoy the rest day, mate.
Oh, I will. Cheers.
I love bike racing. As we're standing here watching Luke Rowe, and we're getting a Dan Martin's take on what happened inside the race, Dan Lloyd and Sean Kelly have been telling you what's been happening that you haven't seen, and you didn't realise until you looked at Sean's notes that the group behind you finished 140 back, and that's at Rigo, that's Fuglsang, Port. Are you surprised by that? Pinot as well? Are you surprised by that time gap?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had no idea. We thought it was around about a minute, but yeah, it's obviously it's so hectic in the race. You're just concentrating on your own job and getting to the finish line. And yeah, and then I was obviously hectically having a shower to come here. So.
And of course, that group getting so close, as Dan said, they got within 15 seconds. Dan didn't know anything about that. And of course, the director sportive, you know, he has so much information to relay. He's not going to tell you, well, Pinot is getting back, Fuglsang is getting back. He's just going to give you the information that you need to know going forward in the race.
Well, Dan, Sean asked you whether you were happy, and you're a bit reluctant to say that you were. But when you look at George Bennett, who started the day in fourth, he's dropped 11 minutes today. If you're not happy, surely you must at least be relieved that your good fortunes are still intact and you've delivered on what you believe you should have done.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to me because I haven't been happy at all these last 10 days. it's
cricket.
Last year I was riding around with a smile on my face. This year I seem to be a bit more focused and kind of keeping my head in the race, you know. So I think it's just important not to get like too excited and just kind of like just take it day by day. And as I said, the same thing could happen to me on the day after the rest day. It's another day that could potentially have crosswinds, and so yeah, we'll just try and survive that day, and then we can look at the mountains.
Dan, is that a sign of your ambition, though? This is a race that could suit you.
Well, if I was director sportif of Dan, I would be very happy with the situation at the moment. But as Dan said, when you're in the race, you're in that mode, you know, you're focused, and you're a bit aggressive, and you don't show that happiness. But within, I think, when you relax a bit afterwards, you know, you should be happy with the situation because it's going real well up to this moment.
Yeah, it's been a good. I mean, I'm in a good position. We had to say this at the start. It would be, we would have taken it
immediately.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, we're in one piece, we're healthy and feeling good still. So we've ridden through the first 10 days as well as I could have expected, I think. So yeah, just enjoy the day after tomorrow and then keep the ball rolling.
Well, if I was Dan Martin, I'd be happy that Sean Kelly was happy. I think that's good enough. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. It has been a brutal stage, and we very much appreciate it. Head off and enjoy the rest day now. For us, it's laundry day to come as Dan Martin makes his way to the team hotel in Albi. We won't be resting for long, though, because we do come back straight into the thick of it on stage 11 on Wednesday. And here is what we've got in store. The tour organisers, for once, have been relatively kind. Just 2 categorised climbed in the first half of the race, which should mean a day out of the wind for Dan Martin and the other GC contenders, but a fast, furious days for the sprinters. But, I mean, come on, what do we know? We saw that any expectation can be confounded on stage 10, so we will look ahead and salivate at the 167 kilometres from Albi to Toulouse. Well, if you want to catch up with anything you missed today, and I'm telling you, you will have missed something, you can watch the highlights at 8 tonight on Eurosport 1. We'll be back at midday for stage 11, and again, that is on Eurosport 1. Don't forget, there is a new episode of the Bradley Wiggins podcast for your listening pleasure today. It's a special one. Sir Wiggins catches up with one of his all-time heroes and the man who led his Tour de France victory in 2012, Sean Yates. So, laundry day for us, a relative rest day for the riders, and celebration for Wout van Aert and the Jumbo-Visma team taking a halfway stage win at this year's Tour de France. We've had the makings of a French feast already, but we've only had the entrees so far. So rest up, digest well, have a virtual siesta. We'll be back with the next course on Wednesday.